I just played every Sniper Elite game ever. First up is the legendary Sniper Elite. I mean, they're all called Sniper Elite, but this is the Sniper Elite, the first one. First thing you'll notice is how this game is different than any other third-person game released before it. While it wasn't the first stealth game or the first World War II game, it was the first game to combine a first-person and third-person perspective while also incorporating stealth in a World War II setting. So Rebellion, the studio behind Sniper Elite, knew that if it was gonna make another World War II game, that it had to do something to set itself apart from all the other bangers that were out at that time. So they did. You play as Karl, a German soldier who TKs more than your teammates in Siege. Except he's actually OSS, which is like the CIA before they became all MK Ultra-y and started putting GoPros inside of cats. Your objective is to end a lot of bad people in a lot of very creative ways. And I guess not letting the Russians get their hands on German tech or whatever. But before you start, you can give the middle finger to gravity. The maps are absolutely massive, but they'll get even bigger in some of the later games coming up in this video. Pretty much everything in the game happens in the third person, except for the sniping, which happens in first person. The worst thing about the game is the movement. Surprisingly, the game also decided to give the middle finger to friction, because the way you're just slipping and sliding around the whole time. Take my hand off the move button now. Wait, is that why the ground's so shiny? The most amazing thing is that you have to take into account so many different things like your heart rate, gravity, wind, whether or not Hans over here wants to burn off that bratwurst with some cardio, and the air in your lungs, which work about as well as a McDonald's ice cream machine.
The machine's busted, princess.
The graphics are amazing for the time. Okay, maybe not amazing, but pretty good. The world kind of looks like what I assume Berlin looks like in Google Maps, except not fully loaded. Honestly, guys, Karl's camo is pretty great because it blends perfectly with all three shades of green and gray that make up the entire world in this game. But we need to talk about the AI. The friendly AI is useless. I literally had to restart this mission because they would just glitch out and not show up for the objective. I guess they're also possessed by the ghost of my Siege teammates. The enemy AI is interesting. I really love how they patrol in this game. Like, look at this guy. He's glitching himself out. But they also do some really smart things. Enemies will gang up and bum rush you. They'll even hide, try to flank you, and take cover. Was he hiding in that tent the whole time? But the best thing about this game is that it's a perfect blend of stealth, tactical depth, and strategy, while still being one of those shooter games that anyone can pick up and just play without having to deal with a crazy steep learning curve. Now, you can't go full Rambo, but you're supposed to have patience and strategically approach situations. Kind of like Hitman. But this next game is going to change things massively and introduce the best thing about Sniper Elite. But before I get to that, I want to take a second and thank Sniper Elite Resistance and Sniper Elite Resistance Season Pass for sponsoring this video. Now, I know I've been talking a lot about the history of Sniper Elite, but what about its future? And if you want to see what the franchise is up to now, the Sniper Elite Resistance Season Pass is the best way to see the latest and greatest of the series. Continue the story from Sniper Elite Resistance with 3 new missions created in collaboration with museums, historians, and military advisors. They got historians to come in and do this. That's more effort than the History Channel's been putting in for years. Destroy a cache of the Wunderwaffe Kleine Blume in the Verkor's Vendetta pack. Infiltrate and neutralize a fortress developing V1 rocket guidance systems in the Striking Range mission pack. But the best part, these new missions are playable in single player, co-op, and Axis Invasion mode. Upgrade your arsenal with new weapons to master. But remember, you gotta account for everything. The gravel under your feet, the way your neighbor feels about you today, and your heartbeat. The iconic X-ray kill cam is back and better than ever with an insane level of detail for every kill. Use new weapons like the low recoil Armaguera OG-44, the tried and true SVT-40 battle rifle, and my personal favorite, the M1941. In addition to the Season Pass, all players can enjoy free content updates like the Commando Weapon Pack or Fairburn's Armory Pack, which includes 2 new weapons, the M4A1 Government Submachine Gun and the M1903 rifle, along with 2 character skins, including the legendary Lieutenant Karl Fairburn himself. But my favorite mission is Lights Camera Achtung for one very big reason. You can snipe Unicorn Mustache over here in the Wrinkleberries with an explosive round. Make sure to check out the latest Sniper Elite has to offer with the Sniper Elite Resistance Season Pass on Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One, PS5 and PS4, and PC via Steam or Epic Games Store by using my links in the description or the pinned comment. Surprisingly, Sniper Elite wasn't a massive commercial or critical success, but it didn't need to be because by this point it had a cult following and warranted enough success for a whole series. So that's how we got Sniper Elite 2. Or V2. 7 years later, because I guess they were too busy making bangers like Rogue Warrior.
Which one of you motherfuckers wants to die first?
But you know what? Worth it, because this game is an order of magnitude better than the last one. The biggest reason, probably because I'm a man and I have all this testosterone flowing through me, and this is my love language, the X-ray kill cam. You get an X-ray kill cam. Girls might get like 90% of all the sections in a mall or department store, but guys get this. Oh, that's a thing of beauty. The muzzle flash, the velocity, the biology, the physics, the chemistry, all of it. Glorious. The fact that you can snipe a man in the dingleberries alone makes this game a banger. The story is kind of the same. You're back in Berlin fighting the Russians and Germans like a good blue-blooded American while trying to save German scientists from being captured by Soviets or something. I honestly don't remember. But the biggest question I have is how is his hair always so perfect?
Good night, Major General. Just a question of choosing my moment.
What kind of product does he use? Nobody saw that miss. I can edit that out. You guys will never see me miss in this game. The graphics are good, minus the occasional bamboozlery. The sound effects are nice. The maps are big and detailed, while also being pretty open, so they give you that option of approaching the objective from multiple different ways, kind of however you want to. And in terms of the gameplay, I mean, come on, pulling off long-distance shots like this never gets old. But the weirdest thing is that even though the game is supposed to be about stealth, it's actually impossible to be stealthy most of the time. The only way to mask your shots is when there's a loud sound and you get this indicator thing, but honestly, that rarely happens, and who has time to wait around for that? And even if you try to mask every shot, enemies are rarely alone, and even if they are, you won't have time or a place to stash the body before someone sees it. I mean, just look at the second level. It's impossible to stealth this. Terrible reaction time. Terrible. You guys would not survive an award. So is it a good stealth game? No. But is it a good sniper game? Well, let's find out. The enemy AI has gotten a lot better. At times it does feel like you're fighting an authentically smart enemy, but they can be really dumb too sometimes. Terrible reaction time. But we need to talk about the most important thing in a sniper game, the mechanics. Oh yeah, before you start, you can actually adjust the realism all the way from Call of Duty to Bradley Cooper. Honestly, props to Rebellion for letting you customize all this. And if you're the type that likes to set themselves up, there's a lot of places to do that, and you get booby traps. And if you like moving, there's a lot of places that can act as impromptu cover. And even though you get a secondary SMG, you never get enough bullets to actually use it on more than 2 guys.
Do you know why your weapon's not shooting? Why would it not be shooting, Private? Maybe because you have run out of ammo.
While this game is awesome, the best thing it did is pave the way for this one coming up right now that honestly went in a completely different direction that honestly almost no one would have expected. In 2013, Nazi Zombie Army came out, and this game hits all the right spots. Do you have a bad day at school? Maybe your boss is tugging your grundle too hard? Well, there's no better way to take out your frustrations than doing this. The best thing about this is the atmosphere. I mean, playing this feels like you're in one of those direct-to-DVD B-zombie movies, but in a good way. The streets are dark and foggy, and everything just has this ominous yet cheesy at the same time kind of vibe. Oh, and there's also pentagrams and ruins, because of course there is. Come on. There are 5 stages, and they each have their own vibe with satanic rituals, creepy sorority-style chanting, more pentagrams, and whatever this is. Now, to get the most fun out of this game, you're gonna have to play with some friends. friends. I mean, you can play alone, but it's kind of lonely. So go outside, meet some people, make a buddy, and then bring them inside so you can play video game together. Now, the biggest problem isn't actually with the game. No, it's the people. Some people had the audacity, the barefaced cheek to complain about the depth of the story in a game called Nazi Zombie Army. Going into a game where you kill zombies, giant zombies, and zombie Charlie Chaplin over here, expecting a good story is like going into a Sizzlers and expecting good food. These are the same people that watch a movie with The Rock and Kevin Hart and expect good acting. But that doesn't mean that this game is totally brainless. You'll actually have to do a lot of strategizing and decision making. You go for the headshot and risk a dozen other dudes getting closer? Should you set traps and hole up, or get right in the thick of it? Now, the enemies are interesting. You get giant boys who drink their milk, trenchcoat daddies, regular dudes, and these annoying goobers. Honestly, combined with these pentagrams, it feels like you're in a goth nightclub. In terms of mechanics, there isn't much of a change from V2. Graphics are good, the X-ray's still awesome, and the soundtrack actually I think is even better. Just a few months later in October, Rebellion came out with Zombie Army 2. And I'm not complaining, because oh my god, this is fun. Title's dumb, but that's how it should be. This isn't supposed to be a serious game. First thing you'll notice is there's a lot more zombies. Like, thousands. And just when you thought the X-ray cam couldn't get more satisfying, they did it. But the best thing, honestly my absolute favorite thing, is that now you can take out more than one zombie with a bullet. I mean, look at this. Whoever came up with this, you're sick, beautiful bastard. Honestly, every game needs this. But the thing this game does really well is balance those moments where you only see a couple zombies so you feel really in control, with those moments where you see like a horde of almost 100 bum rushing you like you're a Best Buy on Black Friday. Both games are still pretty much set traps, snipe skulls, and panic when 30 zombies charge at once types. But Zombie Army 2 actually improves on the pacing and brings new enemy types. It introduces more elite enemy types like summoners and faster baddies, so you're not just head popping the same shambling goons every round. But even though this game is amazing, this next one coming up right now is an all-time classic and my absolute favorite. This time you're in North Africa infiltrating enemy camps and hunting more skulls. Something like that. Nobody plays Sniper Elite for the plot or the side quests. Believe it or not, the maps are even bigger and more open, but more importantly, there's way more places for you to go and set up and be stealthy and just get more use out of your sniper this time around. I mean, honestly, I didn't even use my secondary more than like 3 times the whole game. Even the AI feels more intelligent sometimes. But unlike V2, being stealthy here isn't tedious. The game does a good job of stealth mechanics and forcing you to be patient to take the shot, but it doesn't make it into this whole ordeal like in V2. But none of that matters, honestly, because this is back. And it's better than ever. Now you can see your bullet going through everything the human body pretty much has to offer. God, I mean, this is basically just anatomy class, but better. The biggest thing I don't like is how almost every shot is fatal. Like, how is this fatal? Grazing a guy in his cake is as lethal as putting one in his skull. Yeah, of course. I just want to picture the sort of person who not only has this idea, but then programs this into the game. 2 years later, we got Sniper Elite 4, and this is the change we've all been waiting for. So now it's time we hit the home of pasta and overpriced Gucci loafers. But the biggest question is this better than 3? For starters, the pacing is awesome. There aren't really any moments where the game feels too fast or too slow, but there's more. Honestly, I have no idea how they keep coming up with more creative ways to murk dudes, but they just keep doing it. It's like American Sniper and Final Destination had a baby, and then that baby decided to make this game. You can hit the grenades that soldiers are carrying, booby trap bodies, and AI smarter than ever before, which is honestly not saying much. They even improved the X-ray cams, so now you can see all these glorious ways in very glorious detail. But this game's different from any other Sniper Elite game so far. Honestly, different than any other game I've ever played. Unlike the other Sniper Elite games before it, this one's not only satisfying and funny, but it's viscerally shocking. Oh, you thought it couldn't get any more graphic? Buddy, I saw a bullet go through things that would give the bullet PTSD. PTSD. And this time you'll be looking the dude you're about to take out in the eye, because every time you tag someone, it gives you all this info that nobody needed to know or asked for. Like their name, age, and... oh, come on. There's letters from his family. I don't want to know this right before I'm about to snipe a dude in the Wrinkleberries. Unbelievably, the maps are even bigger. Next, they're just gonna have a map of continental Europe. Like, I'm a sucker for big maps. I made that clear throughout this video, but like, they just keep making them bigger. I'm honestly curious how big the maps in the upcoming ones are gonna be. Let's find out. Next up is, and I bet you guys didn't expect this, another zombie game. Zombie Army Trilogy, which includes a new Zombie Army 3 and the remastered versions of 1 and 2. At this point, I think the lads at Rebellion just get bricked up at the very thought of zombie Fuhrer, and you know what? I'm all for it. What other game lets you take out zombie Charlie Chaplin over here while playing as the characters from Left 4 Dead? The maps are straight out of some goth chick's fever dream, and I know some of you guys are masochists, so for you, there's even more hordes. Hordes with a D, not that other word. Multiplayer's better than ever. There's a large variety of zombies, which I'll get to in just a sec. I mean, it gets repetitive, but the game's kind of like a girl complimenting you. You never really get tired of it, and just like the game's plot, neither of those things are probably gonna happen. My favorite thing's how creative they just keep getting with all these zombies. You got chainsaw boys, generals, these fire dudes, and a lot more. But wait, hold up. The weirdest thing to me is how are they smarter and more tactical than the enemy humans from the other games? I mean, look at this. They got snipers. Since when did zombies go to sniper school? Enemies here will overrun you or even sneak up behind you. The best way to describe this game is just insanely chaotic fun. But full disclosure, it's way more fun with friends. I wouldn't really know as I don't really have any, so... it's kind of like they took everything that people loved from the first and second one and just put it into this blender and just gave us this thing that's even more crazy and fun. Up next is, I can't believe I'm saying this, Zombie Army 4. I mean, no way is this game gonna surprise you. This time you get 4 characters, 3 snipers, 3 pistols, 3 submachine guns, and 10,000 zombies. No, there's no such thing as that. Like I always have to keep saying, the graphics are great. Even though they have been great for like the last 3 or 4, it's just something I feel like I have to say, just so you guys know, the graphics are great. Surprise! And there's so many areas and levels to fight through that it always feels unique and fresh. But if you're on that Goggins grind or like this guy, because after a while you realize you're just going around collecting some items, going to some place, or turning on some generators. But you do get some new toys. There's some really cool special grenades and melee attacks, weapons attachments, and takedowns. You know, how many zombies can you mow down before it gets boring? But again, you don't get this game because you want to do some crazy philosophical stuff like Hearts of Iron or Civilization. You get it because you want to sit there in your couch and just mindlessly mow down zombies. Up until now, the Sniper Elite franchise has been pretty predictable. You know, you release a Sniper Elite, then you release a zombie, then a Sniper Elite, then a zombie, just like that. But this next one changes everything. Sniper Elite VR came out in 2021, and the first thing you'll notice is how small the maps are compared to the giant masses that are usually Sniper Elite maps. But while other Sniper Elite games so far have felt really big and open, this one kind of feels restrictive and scripted. But that might not actually be a bad thing. Okay, now don't get me wrong, there's gonna be a lot of frustrating things in this game, and I'll get to those in just a second, but I think they really integrated this pretty well in most aspects when it came to taking something as almost impossible to put into VR like Sniper Elite and actually making it a really fun VR experience. But first we need to talk about the most important thing when it comes to a Sniper Elite game, the sniping. There's a lot of content here, from 18 maps to a lot of different guns, and the mechanics are nice for the most part, but some things can get really frustrating, like aiming down your sight. Now I know that is how you aim down your sight, is by actually lifting the gun up and actually looking into the scope, but it's kind of hard when you have a VR headset and you're trying to do that and your controller just keeps clanking against the headset almost every time you try to scope in. I have a love-hate relationship when it comes to the reloading in this game. I love how you can pull back the bolt, the sound that comes with it, the feeling of actually doing something mechanical like that. I don't know what it is, but being a man, you guys know, when you pull back on that bolt, the sound and the feeling that that thing makes, it's unparalleled. But I hate reloading. Let me explain why. Now, your pouch that has your bullets is on your waist, and if you're sitting in a chair with armrests like most chairs have, then every time you try to reach down there to reload, you're gonna smash your hand into the armrest. Almost every time I needed to reload quickly because I'm in the middle of a firefight, my hand would start hitting my armrest. I get it, it's really authentic, and if you're standing, you're not gonna have a problem with this most likely, but I feel like there should be another another option there for people who are sitting with armrests. So the whole reloading process takes longer than two turtles trying to use dial-up. Honestly, this game actually does something better than any other Sniper Elite game, which is weird because usually VR games do things worse than their normal counterparts. But anyways, using your secondary or your sidearm is actually really satisfying in this game. Like the SMG, when you're reloading and you put the clip in through the side and then you pull it back from the other side, it's the most satisfying thing I've ever done. Even the pistol and pushing out a mag and putting another one in, unlike the other games where it's kind of just like you don't really want to use them because it's Sniper Elite. But in this game, using your secondaries is an experience. But the worst thing about this game, the thing that really chafes my cake, are the grenades. Now you'd think that throwing grenades in a VR game would be the same as you would do on a Wii like 20 years ago, but no. You just aim and release it. Why? It's taking half the fun out. I mean, sure, if they had it where you could throw it, you'd probably break a few things in your room, but that's like, who cares? I want to throw a grenade. It doesn't matter if I break a lamp. I've never complimented a Wii, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Wii let you throw grenades. But finally, we have to talk about the movement. And it's not really the devs' fault, because I've yet to play a VR game that actually gets movement right, but there's a few things that really irk me, especially when it comes to the shooting range, and you having to walk over to pull the lever to start the test. The amount of times I smashed my controller or headset into the wall trying to go pull this lever, why didn't the test just start, or why can't you just pull it from far away? The game itself is really fun. Stuff like this is frustrating, but it's not necessarily something that I think will take away from an overall great game and ruin your experience. Also, and I think this is the most obvious, you're getting shot at constantly, so it's kind of important for you to get behind cover so you don't get shot. But getting to cover is a game in and of itself. Teleporting to a location you want to go to honestly takes quite a bit of time and finesse because you have to get the direction right, and by the time you turn around, it's already going to be too late sometimes. A year later in 2022, we get Sniper Elite 5, and this game shouldn't be good. You can't just keep making good sequel after good sequel based on the same thing. Well, unless you're Sharknado, but they did. Well, sort of. You play as Papa Carl again, doing what he does best, ending bloodlines and cutting down family trees. Oh, you know what I'm going for. You get an achievement for hitting wrinkleberry shots. The maps are basically Hitman maps on steroids. You'll spend hours exploring, setting up ambushes, and second guessing whether or not that guy over there deserves to keep both kneecaps. But finally, after all these years, we get an AI that actually tries. Okay, don't get me wrong, sometimes they will go dumb NPC mode. How did he not? But now they're unpredictable, which is a good and bad thing. Good because they'll try to tactically flank you together. Bad because they do stuff like this still sometimes. Sometimes they'll even throw grenades in the right direction. Well, let's talk about the X-ray. It's gotten even better. You can now use the X-ray with your SMG or pistol. Oh, this game is so good. Now, I might have said this earlier, but I gotta say it again. This is my favorite Sniper Elite game ever. It has the best graphics, some pretty good improvements in terms of AI, and the maps are honestly really nice to look at and play in. It really feels polished and like you're playing in an action movie. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, the movement. For some reason, Carl has no problem climbing the side of a building like some scruffy Rapunzel, but when it comes to walking up a tiny steep slope like something you'd see in your neighborhood or a few rocks, he struggles. The man can hit a shot from a kilometer or so away, but he just can't climb up a tiny little hill. How does that make any sense? I mean, I'm not asking him to climb K2 or be Bear Grylls. I mean, come on, just have him do a little Assassin's Creed and skedaddle up the rocks. But the most important question is, can the newest game live up to all this? And finally, it's time to talk about Sniper Elite Resistance. I guess the most important question you'll be asking is this like 5? I mean, maybe. You're about to find out, but that's not a bad thing. That's like bagging a model and then finding out she also has a twin who's also weirdly into you. This game takes everything I loved about Sniper Elite 5 and makes them even better. The X-ray's better than ever. You're not gonna get away. I feel like he's gonna need to go to an eye doctor after that. The graphics are spectacular. Look at the colors coming in through the stained glass. That's really nice touch, honestly. Wow. The movement looks really good and fluid. Not like 3 where it looked like Carl had a pack of batteries up his keister. The enemies are surprisingly smart and stupid at the same time. Alright, This man's a war criminal right here. What kind of sick freak is that? But the best thing are the maps. Okay, I'm a fiend for secret tunnels. Yep, I knew it was in here. Like a praying mantis, baby. Oh, yeah. Not only are there more secret tunnels, but there's even more places and opportunities for you to take those seriously long shots. Which means more opportunities for you to crack more nuts than a squirrel on coffee. Oh, that's it. That's it. That's right in the wrinkleberries. I got an achievement for nut shots. But there's one thing I really don't like about this game. Who's this hobo-looking nerd? I mean, guy looks like he lives inside a Starbucks. That's a lot of uneaten food. Where's Daddy Carl with that always perfect hair and chiseled jawline? And the thing this game does best is that even though the maps are gigantic, they don't feel or look empty. There are so many side missions and things to explore and find that I actually caught myself spending over 4 hours just on a single mission. But we have to talk about the DLCs. And after playing all 3, I can definitely say wow. No way if I hit this. No way. Best gun in any DLC ever. Each one feels like a unique experience. In Lights Camera Achtung, you infiltrate a movie set on a tropical island with the best mission.
The film studio should be between those two ruddy great chimneys over there.
Honestly, in any video game ever. Ending Charlie Chap's movie career in some seriously creative ways. Like blowing him up while he's honking out a dirt snake. Or my personal favorite, giving his wrinkleberries an explosive gift. Come on. There it is. There it is. There it is. Oh! I got Charlie Chaps and the wrinkleberries, baby. Verkor's Vendetta drops you in the middle of a pretty massive valley with the goal of taking out a bunch of Nubelwerfer rockets. But this level's unlike any other for 2 big reasons. First, it gives you the opportunity to take some of the longest shots in the game. Almost 700 meters. The only thing that would have made it better is if I went for his wrinkleberries. Second, and this can kind of go either way depending on how much of a masochist you are, but there's a bunch of panzers just roaming around the map. Okay, there's like 2, but that's a bunch when you're a sniper. These bad boys are just roaming around, finally giving you that opportunity to use those armor-piercing rounds for their actual intended purpose. Finally, the newest DLC, Striking Range, gives your hobo a sus cap, 2 weapons, and one of the wildest, weirdest maps I've ever seen. This thing has castles, a town, a container ship, and this villainous-looking cave hideout. Let's talk about Axis Invasion, the game mode where some random dude will just drop into your game to ruin your day and brainstem. I mean, just imagine, you're going about your day, ending other people's day in very R-rated ways. And then suddenly the AI starts acting weirder. Oh. What? Staying in cover longer, and you realize some dude just dropped into your game. I'm not gonna lie to you, at first I thought this was pretty boring. Actually, oh! Come on. I spent 20 minutes running around the map just to get murked by some dude called Me and Your Wife? I didn't even see once. Where is this guy? Man's a ghost. But then something happened. That was the most beautiful surprise ever. That's like waking up in bed and there's a pet shark, but he doesn't bite you and he's like friendly. Soon I started to understand what this game needed me to do. I mean, it took like a dozen games in 6 hours, but I started to get it. Best way to describe this is like a cat and mouse game where the smallest mistake can cost you everything. Okay, I'm never gonna turn down a good rematch. Oh, he's on authentic, that's why. What? What is this weird human being doing? This guy's a straight weirdo. He's one of those guys who eats nail clippings or something. What is this guy doing? But the biggest thing is patience. If you're coming from COD or Fortnite or whatever ADHD-fueled credit card microtransaction juicing FPS, you're gonna have a steep learning curve here. What? What? How? This requires strategy, waiting, baiting, and paranoia. Oh, that's not normal. Okay, I don't like this guy. He's just a little trap master. Seriously, there's a lot of paranoia. At some point, I thought the shadows cast by a flock of seagulls was the other dude. Jesus. That scared them. It gets even more intense when you use these landlines to call up your homies and you get the other guy's location. But you don't see him anywhere. Maybe you see a car on fire, maybe a bunch of bodies. But you know he's there. Camping detected. What? That's literally what snipers do like 99% of the time. That's like penalizing a cat for knocking things off a shelf. It's literally what they do. My favorite thing is that there's so many different ways to approach things. You feel like you're crafting your own story on your own terms. And that's what elevates really good games to awesome. You can sit there and pick these games apart all day, but a lot of the times we forget the first and most important reason why we play video games. Did you have fun? I honestly did. A lot, actually. A little bit too much, maybe. Sniper Elite had a big impact on a lot of people. It doesn't matter if you got into it as a kid or adult, even if you just played one or every single one. We're all connected by a shared bond. The deep, weirdly male desire to shoot another guy in the gonads. Make sure to check out the latest Sniper Elite has to offer with the Sniper Elite Resistance Season Pass. On Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One, PS5 and PS4 and PC via Steam or Epic Games Store by using my links in the description or the pinned comments. So before you leave the video, please make sure to support me and click that like and subscribe button below and let me know in the comments what your favorite Sniper Elite game is and why. Thank you so much for watching and make sure to click that notification button so you know when my next video drops.